We all know that in this day and age, we are all full of stress. We are stressed by everything that's going on social media, our own lives, relationships, dating, you name it. We are inundated with stress, which is where my esteemed guest comes in, because this is one of his specialties. I'm going to let him do his own introduction, and giving you and sharing with you some ideas and techniques of how you can deal with some of the stresses of the day-to-day life that you may be going through in particular. And we'll deal with the relationship side, or whether it's any other aspect, whether it's career, life, but looking at where this stress is manifesting in your body, or holding in your body, and what it's manifesting as, and what you could do about it. So we're going to kind of take a bit of a deep dive with my incredible guest. Like I said, his name is Paul, aka Mindfully Pauli. Welcome to the Feel Inspired podcast. How are you, my friend?
I'm very well, thank you. Thank you for inviting me today.
I'm clearly fumbling over my words. I must be just like, it's not stress. I think it's more just, like starstruck, really, to be honest. As we do, we have a little tradition on the Feel Inspired podcast. We've got my Spark Conversations cards here. So I'm going to get you to pick any three cards, and then I'm going to ask you any one of those questions whenever you're ready.
One.
Alrighty.
Two.
Lovely. To try and make it as random as possible.
And three. Yeah. There you go.
There you go.
Right. Do I look at them?
You can look at them as well, but then you can hand them to me. And actually, no. In fact, actually, don't look at them. Let's surprise you. I'm just making this up as I go along. Oh, so one of them is a wild card, actually. All right, but the other two, let's have a look.
Should I be nervous?
Oh. I think it's going to have to be this one, actually, just as a bit of fun, as a starting point. What is your favorite type of dance floor move? And maybe a demo is required. But yeah, actually, we don't have to do the demo today.
Damn, I'm afraid that I just dad dance. I just
Can you give us
go
a quick...
from one side, one foot to the other. Yeah, it works for me.
Hey, I'm at that age now. That's
I don't care anymore.
That's about as much as I can muster as well. I was just doing the little side to side, the Will Smith mention, no, you live here in this zone. So yeah, no, I don't blame you. Yeah. So, and if I do try and kind of, venture out of that, I think it just looks awful, to be honest, as well. Yeah.
Embarrassing, but anyway.
Yeah, definitely. But speaking of dad,
yes.
You are a dad,
yes.
And actually not just to your own children, but to someone else's children.
Indeed.
So you've got a lovely partner called Kajal, and you guys have been together, I think, 15 years.
Yes, that's
and
right.
Between you have six?
Seven.
Oh my God.
Yeah, 7 children. 4 on her side, 3 on mine.
Wow. Tell us a little bit, because, this is a question I get asked a lot, where people ask me about, I'm divorced, I've got kids, is anyone going to love me, be attracted to me, etc., etc. But, you guys are a testament to the fact that, you had kids and you had this so-called baggage that a lot of people like to talk about, but yet here you are, you met a partner who loves you regardless of your history or what you've got, and you the same as well. So how did that come about? Tell me a little bit about the story.
Wow, okay. Shall I start my childhood? No.
I was born in...
Yes, I was 3 hours later. No, I was in a marriage, obviously, before, and had 3 amazing kids. And I found myself in a situation where I was very unhappy for a very long time. And without going into sort of the real nitty-gritty of what the issues were with my ex, after about 10 years of really being very, very unhappy, I finally did the one thing that I said I'd never do, which was actually end a marriage, because I'd promised myself as a child that I would never get divorced after my parents separated, promised that I'd never leave my children. So I broke some big promises to myself, because I was in such a terrible point of unhappiness in my life, and I really couldn't see how I could go through my life to the day I die so unhappy. And I finally plucked up the courage to do that, and separated. And we separated, and I got myself a little house to rent close to where I used to live. And something happened. There was a little bit of a altercation between me and my ex-wife, which was kind of unnecessary, and I felt so bad about it. It was to do with our kids, and one not being allowed to come around. He's a little boy, and so I just thought, how can I actually make myself feel better? So I went straight onto a dating website. That was back in the day when dating websites was the thing, not swiping left or right. And
Which one was it? Was it?
it was because I was living in Kent at the time. It was dating in Kent,
Oh, nice.
and
See-
Casual happened to be on singleparents.com,
Nice.
and because I put the radius so wide, I literally that first night came across Cajal's profile, and it's like, oh my god.
Yeah.
And back then, I don't know if it's like this now because I haven't sort of had to do it, but you just go straight onto kind of messaging on the website, and then that's just started a great conversation, and we met after about 11 days, and as soon as I met her, I fell instantly in love.
So
And I know that's
technically,
cliche.
this was a rebound, not rebound.
Well, it was totally quote unquote rebound in everybody's books. And I'd promised myself that I was going to give myself at least a year to just really kind of like sort of clear all my emotions and everything. But you know what? When love gets you, it's, you can't plan for it, right?
Yeah.
And I suppose you could say I was lucky. I think it was the universe rewarding me for the last 10 years. And we just, we just hit it off instantly. And as I say, I fell in love straight away. I think it took Kaj a bit longer because of her history and everything. But fast forward a number of years, we eventually got married. So we had to delay it because of COVID and everything. But it's been amazing.
And it's been it was quite recent wedding, wasn't it, as well?
Yeah, it was 3 years ago.
Excellent.
And so I've experienced the delights of having 4 stepchildren and obviously balancing my kids as well. They're all adults now. The youngest is 25 and the oldest in his early 30s. So there's a year apart from all of them. So we did have a very funny holiday when we first kind of got together, when we took them away on holiday. And there was this one moment where we were walking, I don't know, into the local town, and they sort of kind of were a trail behind us going down in height size from the tallest to the smallest. It was like, I don't know, the Brady Bunch and everything going on.
Love it.
But yeah, it's been an amazing journey. It's been, a real learning curve. It's had its highs, it's had its lows. But it's been amazing.
It sounds incredible. And I think that, that's a huge testament to sometimes when things are just right, they're just right. And and also just following your gut. Like just those little moments, those little serendipities of you just happened to sign up to that website and happened to see Kajal that day and happened to connect and you happened to meet and everything seemed to just fall into place.
Absolutely. And I have my ex-wife to thank me for that, because if she hadn't have triggered me that day, I would never have done it. And I'd have never met Kajal. I would not be doing what I'm doing today. It's extraordinary how one small kind of move to the left or the right can change the course of your life.
Sliding doors moment.
Yeah. I've had a few of those, so it's it's fantastic.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And seeing you both, because you both sort of work in the same sort of space as well, you often collaborate online and see your videos and sharing the messages that you do. It's beautiful. It's absolutely sublime.
Indeed. The world knows me as Pauli, because that was her kind of like I don't know, her pet name for me.
Yeah.
But when we were going live on videos that she was doing for her Coles A Healthy Kitchen, everybody got to know me as Pauli. So I'd be literally travelling on the train into London and somebody go, "Oh, hi, Pauli." I said, "Oh, hello." So you're Cajal's partner, aren't you? I've always been Cajal's partner, by the way.
You're the side.
I'm in their shadow. I don't mind.
You're the sidekick, basically,
Exactly.
right? Yeah. No, so it's okay. You're not the sidekick. But or just on the relationship side of things, because I think this is a question I get a lot. So my question to you, from probably on behalf of a lot of people that I speak to, how did you navigate the children part in terms of introducing Kajal to your ex-wife, because I'm sure they must have met at some point, likewise her meeting your ex-partner, if that has happened or not, but just navigating the challenges of bringing that dynamic together of when your ex has to be there in some shape or form, I suppose, on the picture for both sides, for both of you.
Yeah, I think that is a really interesting situation. My my parents actually were amazing. I never got any sense that there was any issues between them, even though, the separation was really traumatic. They were really, really mature and grown up about just being normal around us as kids. And the one thing that I would say to anybody is that you've really got to try, and even though you might absolutely hate your ex because of whatever was happened and the pain that's happened in your relationship, you've really got to keep it away from the children. And we've really we've worked really hard on that side of things, because it's absolutely extraordinary the damage that will create for children as they become adults themselves, and how that will create dysfunctional relationships in their life. So you really need to be a massive role model for your children during that sort of real point of conflict. And hopefully at some point, we can talk around actually what's going on physically in the body, because part of the anger that we feel is to do with our nervous system in fight or flight. And this is why often we behave in very irrational ways, and need to learn certain coping mechanisms, things like breath work, that really, really help to create a balanced nervous system and help you cope better and be more resilient when you're perhaps being triggered by your partner. But being, being as grounded as you can around the kids all the time has been a really important part of, the success that we've had with our kids. I met Kajal's ex-husband at her son's wedding, which was only 2 years ago.
Was that the first time?
Yeah, so that was interesting. And Kajal met my ex-wife.
Didn't come to fisticuffs or anything.
No.
Just checking.
No.
My money's on you anyway.
I'm a lover, not a fighter.
You killed him in kindness.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, actually, that's a good point, because however much I might dislike somebody, actually, there's nothing more irritating to them if you're really nice to them. So that's my tactic.
Yeah.
Because it really actually throws them off, because they're expecting you to, react in a certain way, or maybe they're looking to trigger you in a certain way.
Yeah.
And you know what? My Kajal's met my ex-wife, and she was actually amazing. We had dinner together, and it was absolutely fine. And you got to try and normalize it, otherwise, it's just going to filter down into how it impacts your children.
I was just listening to sometimes when I get into my car, my audiobooks that I'm listening to just automatically play. And I'm listening to one called Bulletproof at the moment by Evie Pemperis. I don't know if you know who she is. She's a former sort of US Secret Service agent.
Oh, yeah.
And so she's talking about, obviously, some of the things that she's learned in her whole journey in terms of, a huge part of the book talks about our personal psychology in terms of our making ourselves bulletproof. But an interesting story she relays in that, and I just listened to it literally just as I got to the car park, was a story where when she's protecting the presidents, often, they would get sort of lynched by someone here or there, or someone who wants their time, attention, a picture, whatever. And so they're in the White House and they're about to go off, and then he gets sort of, kind of nabbed by this senator. And, Obama was just very gracious and gave him this person their time. And he was with his wife and kids, I believe, and, sat there and talking to the kids, even though he had somewhere else to be. He just sat there, talked to the kids, asked them about their education and everything. As they finally did leave, they got into the lift, and he said to her and the butlers in the lift, he's one of the people who criticizes me the most out there. And yet, but, she was like, he still, had his compassion, stayed there, gave his time, gave his energy to this person without sort of reacting to them or saying, no, you don't deserve my time. But she just did it. And I think that sometimes that kindness, well, exactly as you mentioned, it surprises people. And actually it completely disarms them for the most part. So I wanted to talk to you. Yeah, literally. Yeah. I want to talk about, because obviously you do more than just having 7 kids.
Yes, that's right. Yes.
You're not just
a little bit more to me than that.
But of course you are, because the thing is as well, one of the things that sticks in my mind as well, which was that you do, I know you've done like yoga sessions for men, and my brother-in-law Akash, before he passed away, came to one of your sessions, and he really enjoyed it.
Yeah. We actually had a men's yoga day.
Yeah, yeah, and I remember. I think I saw the picture pop up into one of the other guys' feeds recently,
Yeah.
and I saw it, and it reminded me. But you talk a lot about burnout, recovery from chronic stress. You're training to be a psychotherapist at the moment, but you're also a master of yoga therapy. You're a breath coach, so you're actually not just one thing, but a lot of different things. So this is why I was really looking forward to having you on, because I think, as I mentioned at the sort of introduction, we carry so much stress, so much anxiety, pain. We hold on to things. We ruminate constantly. Even I was like noticing recently. I watched this account. There's an account on social media. There's a guy called Kyle Inspires, and he mentioned something recently, and it just got me thinking about it. About when you hold stress in your jaw, and more now through interoception, I've been sort of noticing when my jaw is like clenched, and before I didn't ever used to notice, but now I'm really like noticing when my jaw is just clenched or the tension is there, and I'm just kind of like just stretching, letting it go, but it just feels so much better. Like it's very easy to miss signs like that. But like I said, in this day and age where we live in such a polarized world, and one of those areas of being polarized is dating and relationships, and people are finding it harder and harder to meet partners and get out there. But they're carrying a lot of stress, a lot of trauma through these experiences. So with everything that that you're doing at the moment, that you work on, what's some of the things you're finding, you're seeing in your own personal practice, and what people are coming to you about, and what are some of the biggest things that you're sharing with them at the moment, or you're finding that's giving the greatest benefit to people?
So my work, I have really narrowed down into helping people with anxiety and insomnia. That's probably about 80% of the population, by the way.
I know it's a
So
lot of
it's like,
people.
even though I've narrowed down into it, it's quite quite a
Yeah.
lot of people
It's hardly a niche, is it? That's like-
suffering, and people are suffering,
Yeah.
and it never fails to surprise me just how severe people are suffering, and anxiety is basically, when you boil it down, anxiety is fear. And anxiety is a dysregulated nervous system. It's as simple as that. And that dysregulation needs to be regulated. Otherwise, you're always going to feel anxiety. You're always going to not sleep well. And where does anxiety come from? Anxiety often comes from embedded trauma, experiences through your life, experiences when you were a child, things that you don't remember but happened to you when you were, say, under 5. Not saying that they were physical things, but just how you were parented, maybe the chaos around you, etc., etc., etc. I mean, there's endless amounts of levels of it, and I find that's following people through into their adult lives, and that inevitably affects relationships. And if you are a highly anxious person, a chronically stressed person, if you're an angry person, these are all actual physical things that are going on with your body, and they're manifesting themselves into relationship issues, because it can't help but start to impact on relationship. So for me, it's about giving people the really basic, fundamental, foundational tools that can help you rebalance a dysregulated nervous system, a nervous system that is actually stuck in fight or flight most of the time. And breath work is the only tool that can regulate the nervous system. And guess what? We've all got that tool.
Yeah.
And guess what? None of us are using it properly. In fact, our nervous system is actually forcing us into breathing patterns that actually promote more fight or flight, so more stress, those feelings of anxiety. And it goes back to, the body is sensing danger, and it's giving you signs that you need to move, you need to, act and behave in a certain way. And so, looping back to relationships, you might find that you blow up really quickly in a situation with your partner. You might find that you're constantly fighting with your partner, and often that's it's always that's two people's nervous systems that are actually you know, that I feel your nervous system and you feel mine. If I'm calm and relaxed, then you will be more calm and more relaxed. If I'm anxious and nervous, and you'll pick up on that. And that's the signals that your nervous system gives out. Nervous systems are linked. So in relationship, if you have, you know, different attachment styles going on, you'll have a lot of fight or flight, a lot of subconscious fears going on that you're not even really put your finger on. But, you know, your partner comes home late from work regularly, for example. How is that triggering you? You know, your partner might say, well, you know, I'm working late for the family. But your partner will be like, well, I don't really care about that. I want to see more of you. And then I'll say, well, look, you know, I'm making an excuse. Well, like, yeah, I'm just doing, you know, I've got a bad boss, but I'm not listening to what you're saying. I'm just giving excuses. You don't want to hear that. So there's a lot going on, and all that time our nervous system is elevating, and suddenly you've got a full-on row going on, and you go to bed unhappy, go to bed in an argument. There isn't an easy way to de-escalate it. So yeah, it's a lot going on physically in relationship associated with the nervous system. And so what I help people with, if they are having relationship issues, is teaching them those breathing techniques that will really help to enable them to down-regulate the rise in heart rate, the rise in blood pressure, the way that the body is creating an imbalance with blood sugar. That's all happening in that instant, in that moment where you start to feel angry about something. So yeah, it's like there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
But very simple actually to remedy. It's just starting to become aware and tuned in to what your body is telling you. So for example, if you think about a situation where you're triggered, say an argument with your wife. I know it never happens.
Who, me and my missus? Never.
Never. But imagine if that was the case. Where do you feel it? Like, where do you feel it if you actually really think about the sensation that's going on in your body?
For me personally, when I know something's wrong, I tend to feel it in my gut first. Yeah. But I'm one of these people, I can react very much in my head. And so it'll be a question of, and then it will just go on and on in my head. So I'll feel it there. But as I mentioned as well, I only recently caught on to the fact that I actually carry a lot on my jaw. Yes. As well. Yeah. But just viscerally, I feel like, if I think back to, as an example, not necessarily, you know, my marriage with Nirthi, but when I've been through really traumatic experiences, I say traumatic is a bit of an overused word, but when I've been through really tough experiences with, say, friends, a really particular example, 2011, I was in the middle of coaching someone and I got this text message, and it was from a friend who was like, you've betrayed me, you know, you knew I liked this woman, yet you asked her out, this, that, the other. It was a very, you know, and we were all, you know, I was in this massive group of circle of friends, and he basically turned them all against me. And so it was a horrible time. I felt it in my gut, and I say this not as hyperbole, but I literally didn't eat for a month. Yeah. I couldn't. I lost 3 stone in 1 month. And it was, you know, because it was such a horrible time, you know, to be isolated from your friends, you know, people you spend probably every other day with, you know. It was my badminton crew, it was, you know, people I spend a lot of time with. So like for me, I've always felt it there. Yeah. It's always come, you know, for me in that place as well. So
really interesting. So a number of things going on there. First thing, with those anxious feelings that we get in our stomach, that is actually blood moving away from the gut to go to your muscles for fight or flight, to run, to fight your way out of trouble. So those butterflies that you're feeling is a physical thing going on with your body. Now also, in that situation you described not eating, again, there's many things that happen when the body starts to go into that imbalance. And one of them is that it affects the way that you, your appetite. Yeah. It affects how you digest and process food. It basically closes down bodily functions in order to elevate the functions that are needed to get you out of that problem, the fight or flight, the sympathetic part of your nervous system that you're stuck in. So it's closing down some bodily functions You can have IBS, you can have diarrhea, you could have constipation.
Gas.
Yeah, gas, even, and a whole lot more beside.
Yeah.
Whilst at the same time, your heart rate is constantly elevated, your blood pressure is up, you're constantly stuck with cortisol and adrenaline pumping through your body. So yeah, huge imbalance that over time is really harmful. Like it's there's a direct link between chronic stress, in other words, you kind of feel it all the time, or even chronic anxiety, which is on another level, and all major diseases. Ultimately, it's so much pressure on your body that the body starts to break down, and that manifests itself in different ways with different people.
Yeah.
It's it can be thyroid issues, it can be diabetes, it can be cancer, it can be so many major autoimmune disease, and we just ignore stress. We don't do anything about it. We constantly are putting everybody and everything else first. We do not put ourselves first. You will put your wife first, you'll put your kids first, you'll put your friends first, your job first, your family first. There's not much time for me. And so part of my self-healing journey, after my very severe burnout 5 years ago, was actually learning that actually, in order to be the best version of myself and to turn up every day as best I can, I needed to actually form my own personal practice to put myself first, stabilize my nervous system every day, and that gives me the strong foundation to be more resilient and cope every day. I had a very severe burnout 5 years ago, and it was a terrifying moment, actually. I was working as a board director in a big company at the time, and I woke up one day and it was as if I sustained a brain injury. I couldn't speak. I was nauseous. Every time I tried to think about something, I'd fall asleep. I couldn't get out of bed. I was slurring my words. I mean, it was really horrific. And obviously it didn't sort of happen out of the blue. It was a bit of a 2-year run-in, to be fair. But eventually my body couldn't take any more.
Yeah.
And I went to the doctors, I got signed off work, I got referred to NHS mental health services. And after I got a call from the NHS mental health services to say, oh yeah, we think that you could do with maybe 5 or 6 sessions of cognitive behavioural therapy, I soon realised that actually that was not going to work. It was not going to help me recover from this terrible physical thing that was going on with my body that I now understand was going on, and I'll hopefully be able to explain that to you. But so I started to look around. This was at the end of the first lockdown, by the way, and I found something called transformational yoga therapy, and it was a 21-day program. It was actually a yoga teacher training program. Normally I wouldn't have been accepted on it because I hadn't really done much yoga before, and I went away for 21 days, and I came out the other side of it a different person. It was, it was the most transformational thing that's ever happened to me.
Yeah.
And when I got back from that, my cognitive function had returned, my energy was back, my creativity was back. I looked about 10 years younger at the time. I'd lost a whole bunch of unhealthy body fat. I was stronger, I was fitter just from 21 days. And when I got back, I just thought, well, what was wrong with me in the first place? Because I kind of thought I was going mad. And alcohol was part of that journey towards the end. And what was so effective about those 21 days? Because it was like, I was just kind of doing yoga. It was a bit more than that. So I went away and did a lot of research. I took a breath coaching qualification. Of course, I'd qualified to teach in that yoga therapy method. And it was the breath coaching qualification that gave me my big eureka moment, which was, it taught me about the anatomy and physiology of my body and breath, and that, number one, which I mentioned earlier, breath is the only tool that can actually regulate a nervous system, and I had a dysregulated nervous system. That is why I was in that complete burnout scenario. And it's key to all of our recovery from anything is to regulate our nervous system. Once we learn to do that, we can really move forward. So that was a big moment in my life, and that then took me on a journey of helping other people with similar situations, one-to-one, and also trying to get groups of guys together to do some yoga together and learn how to relax their jaw, for example, which is part of almost every session that I do. I'll do a relaxation process which starts here, your forehead, your eye sockets, through your jaw, and it's that suddenly you just feel that weight coming off your face, because we hold so much tension in our face. Our whole bodies, we're like this all of the time, and we need to learn to let that go, because we're just clinging on to tension. And once we learn to relax and start to tap into what our body has in terms of its own healing energy, then we're really onto something. And so, yeah, it's been 5 years ago. It was a traumatic incident. Took me, a little while to figure it out. And then it's pointed me in a whole kind of new direction, really, which is about raising awareness around the really harmful impact of just ignoring stress. Because in the first 30 years of my career, especially as a young man, I wore stress with a badge. It was kind of like, I do my best work. I do my best work under pressure, and I did. And, but the sad fact of that was that I was leaving things later and later to start them, putting myself under lots of pressure, because I'd only get the adrenaline to kind of want to do it as it was entering the sort of last week of the deadline, if you like. And so, but that week in, week out starts to, and it does eat away at you like a cancer. So I like to describe it like that, because it's suddenly a bit of a wake-up call for people. If you link stress to cancer, it's eating away at you just like a cancer. It goes undetected until you start to realise that you're not coping, you're not resilient, you're not being as rational as you are, you're overthinking, you're procrastinating, you're worrying, you can't sit still, or you feel low mood, low energy. You start to withdraw. You can't be bothered to go out. Can't get out of bed, and this is the body's way of actually protecting you from what it's detecting as predatory danger. It's just, when you start to look into it, it's mind blowing.
Yeah, I actually, interestingly enough, had a call with a coaching client today, and without giving away too much detail, gentleman, 40s, and who's going through something very similar. So I talked him through this, and actually I think he felt a lot better after this call. So it wasn't a full session, but it was just a quick catch up. But I recognized the signs because I felt it in the past as well. And so I kind of guided him through, and he was feeling a lot better by the end of it. And I think that sometimes you can, even when things don't feel right, you start stressing about what's going wrong, and then it just exacerbates and it snowballs, and it just gets worse and worse and worse, because you're stressing about stressing, and then it hits another whole other echelon of stress. But it's something I see a lot of, right? So if I were to ask you now, practical application, okay, so some of the common things that I come across as common themes. You mentioned attachment is a huge part of my work and what I do. So, for example, people who have more of an anxious attachment style, that tends to manifest in a number of ways. One of which is obviously getting head over heels with someone very quickly. Two, it also often leads to being potentially ghosted, submarined, and zombied, or whatever you want to call it. But they also then start, obsessing over that person, and then it usually then leads into a lot of hurt and heartache. And then they find themselves, because they end up stressing about it so much, ruminating about it so much, they don't realize they start enjoying a pattern. They keep on doing it and they repeat it. So I often ask people, okay, so what's your pattern? How many times has this happened to you? And, it starts once innocuously, but then they get really, it just becomes like a record, really ingrained in them, and they just keep on going through that same cycle over and over. So for someone out there who's listening to this right now and they've got deep attachment wounds, what would you say to them to help regulate themselves, self-regulate, a bit more self-soothing through the methodologies that you teach in terms of breath work and any other modalities that you use?
Yeah, I mean, it is an acknowledgement that that is a physical thing that's going on, right? So obviously, as a result of how you were parented, actually, from very, very young,
6 months to 18 months is
develops
not
that
something.
attachment
Yeah.
um, issue, and what's driving you to be like that is fear. So you have a dysregulation of your nervous system, fear of loss, fear of, and actually, to your point, it's more likely that the individual is going to run away from that, which then makes it worse. Okay. So number one thing is, like the most transformational thing anybody can do is breath work. If you don't do anything else, breath work is the number one, because you and I can be doing it here without the other knowing we're doing it, and so it is instant. Breath work works within 30 seconds. It will start to rebalance the nervous system, balance the nervous system. And if you embed daily breathwork practices into your every day, when you wake up, when you go to bed, maybe in the middle of the day, just for 10 minutes, then you start to create a chain, an accruing benefit of doing really solid breath work. And that is basically nurturing your nervous system into feeling safe and secure. If your nervous system isn't feeling safe and secure, you're never going to have a comfortable kind of relationship with a partner or yourself, because you're constantly leaning in, and of that sort of attachment style. So work with breath to rebalance the nervous system, make the nervous system feel safe, and you'll start to find changes will happen.
What does that look like? So what would they need to do to begin with?
So you want to do some breath work now?
Yeah, hell yeah.
Okay, fantastic. All right. So, really simple stuff, actually. So we're literally going to, it might take a little bit of a while, but let's do it simple. So a balanced breathing practice is just inhaling for, let's say, count of 4 and exhaling for a count of 4. You need to relax your stomach. Most people tend to sort of pull their stomach in, but the stomach needs to relax in order to create a relaxed diaphragm. Okay, and then we inhale for 4 and we build up to exhaling for 8. All right, so that's one really, really sound practice. Now, why do we, as breath work experts or coaches, always talk about working with the exhale? All right, so if you think about fright, for example, you're walking down a corridor and I'm going to be mucking about, I'm going to jump out from behind a door, and whoa, scare the living daylights out of you. What do you do in that moment? You go, yeah. You go,
yeah.
And then when you realise that danger's over, you go, oh, thank God for that. Right? Every inhale is linked to the sympathetic part of your nervous system, the fight or flight response. Every exhale works with the parasympathetic part of the nervous system, which is our calm, rest, restore, and digest part of our nervous system. So this is why we need to create that balance of breath. Okay, when everything's fine and we're inhaling, exhaling, no problem. But if we are, because we're feeling a lot of stress and anxiousness, we are short and sharp with our breath, or you might find that you're holding your breath a lot. For example, that's very common. We need to start to balance that back out again. So inhale for 4, exhale for a count of 8. So it's any breath that is longer than the inhale will start to take you and work with the parasympathetic part of the nervous system. All right. So we can do it now, or
Yeah,
okay,
let's do it right now.
All right. So close your eyes.
Okay.
Feet flat on the floor. Let's have our palms facing upwards. Jolly good.
So,
Eyes closed. All right. And this is something I do. I haven't just made it up for you. This is something I do every time I do breathwork with people. So bring your awareness to your face and relax your cheeks. Relax your jaw. Relax your whole face. So much tension in the face. Relax your shoulders and relax your arms. Relax your chest and relax your stomach. I'm going to inhale gently through the nose. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale through the nose. 4, 3, 2, 1. Relax your stomach. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, release tension, melting with the exhale. 4, 3, 2, 1. Relax your stomach. Inhale, strength and courage. 1, 2, 3, 4. Release and let go with the exhale. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Relax your stomach. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Release tension. Let it go as you exhale. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Relax your stomach. Inhale, strength and courage. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now release fears and worries as you exhale. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now just come back to your normal breath. Keep your eyes closed. Observe for a moment how you're feeling. Okay, so I rushed that a little bit because normally I'd build up to that, and I didn't want to sort of spend 15 minutes on one breathing practice. But that is a great, I mean, literally like so many go-to to that one. There's so many more, but all you need is 1 or 2 or 3 go-to ones that are amazing. Triangle breath, box breath. There's one called primary breath, which is a humming sound as you exhale, which really works profoundly with the vagus nerve. That's down-regulating all the things that are up-regulated, like your heart rate and your blood pressure and everything. So go to breath. Breath is the most foundational thing you can do. It's fantastic. It's, And by the way, every Monday night, free to anybody that wants to join. I do a 20-minute solid breath coaching class. It's called Breath Bites. There's no chat, just I say hello, and then we do 20 minutes of breath work.
In person, or you do it on Zoom?
Online,
brilliant.
yeah.
Okay.
So it's my free offering to the world to get people into breath work. So if there's low earners or no income, join. High income, join. It doesn't matter. I want people to experience the power of breath. And most people who are attending that, who have sleep issues, that night have great sleep. So, it's really worthwhile.
So what are some of the other outcomes you see from, specific examples where you've seen people like it transform them, especially when it comes to anxiety? Again, it may not necessarily be related to dating, but just, they just have high levels of anxiety. What are you seeing firsthand from people?
Yeah, obviously anxiety, is hugely disabling, and it's difficult to deal with. But when you actually start to master it, I had severe anxiety before my burnout, and it's horrible. And I don't have anxiety anymore, but I have to manage that because it's a bit like having burnt out is like being an alcoholic. You're always prone to burning out, so you have to manage that all the time. And so people with anxiety, once they start to work with breath work, and you are able to cope and be more resilient, so you're making better choices, you're helping to improve relationships at home, at work, because you're not reacting in the way that you used to the world around you. And it does boil down to coping and resilience, because you know what it's like when you're having high anxiety, that you just can't handle very much. And that plays out very positively in people's lives. Sleeping better sleep issues is again one of the most harmful stress sleep issues, interlinked. If you're not getting enough sleep, then your body isn't repairing. It's not, and you're burning out again.
Yeah.
So I now manage my anxiety every day. I still have to do breath work every day. I have a daily personal practice. I might need some breath work through the day if I'm triggered. Sometimes I might wake up in the middle of the night at 2 a.m. in the morning, and that is when the mind monster really starts to grow and manifest itself hugely. And so straight into breath work. I don't even look at the clock. If you look at your
Yeah.
phone, you've had it.
Yeah.
You're instantly going, damn. You know?
Yeah.
So straight into breath work, and I'll drift back to sleep. And everybody I work with who does it, it works. If you dip in and out of it, it'll work in the moment. If you do it once, it won't really work. So you have to. It's a bit like running a marathon.
Yeah.
You can't run a marathon every day without doing a little bit of training, and that's what breathwork is.
Yeah. Although I've got my marathon injury now, so I've got
Have you? Oh dear.
I'm sorting that out. But no, again, I'm not worried. I don't stress about it. So I was watching a video the other day, and they were talking about how in Harvard they kind of looking at neuroplasticity, but also psychoneuroimmunology, and looking at the effect of our thoughts on when you are using sort of like positive affirmations. And they're finding that obviously now we know this anyway, but through research they're actually seeing the outcome of this. Just simple things like, thank you for my body, thank you for my heart, thank you for thank you for my knees for supporting me for nearly 50 years and doing it so well. And I believe there's a lot more there. And I know there's an issue right now, but I know my body's got the intelligence to heal. So I don't stress about it. I have my moments where I think, come on, get better quicker. But, I'm just being patient with it and allowing it to heal and recover in its own time. But
so what you're doing there is you're working with energy.
Yeah.
So, we are energy beings,
Yeah.
and you're working with your prana, your life force energy.
Yeah.
So wherever you're directing that energy, so, through transformational yoga as a therapy, that I've learned that because I've healed myself. I've gone through that process of tapping into my body and understanding where the healing is needed. Actually, even on one of the trainings that I went on, I developed an injury, and I asked my guru, could I go to a masseuse or a physio or something like that? And they said, no, trust in the process. If you channel the healing energy into that area, so it was like a lower back strain to the left side, which normally I knew it was quite common at the time. It would last about 2 weeks. So that's it. Training's ruined. It was gone in 2 days because of the way that you moved and you channeled the energy. And when you also think breath is energy, that's really powerful. So pranayam, breath work. Pranayam is breath work. You're using breath work and energy in your body. You're focusing into areas of your body. Belly breathing here, throat. It's fantastic.
I feel very fortunate that I've grown up with this stuff since the age of 15. I've been doing it for such a long time, 33 years. And even like you, I had a major back injury, early 2000s. And my doctor told me I'll probably never play badminton again or do much activity. Yet I've played for 25 years and I've run 3 marathons. And, this is why I don't stress about stuff like this in particular. But just going back to when you were talking about the breath work as well, something popped into my head, which I think some people need to realize, I think it will help them immensely, is that it's very hard to let your thoughts race while you're focusing on your breath. And if you were to try and do it, right, you almost can't do it.
Yes.
So when you find your mind is racing, the perfect antidote is breath, because you almost cannot do both simultaneously.
Absolutely, spot on. And I'm so glad you raised that, because how I coach it, you use numbers and shapes. And whilst you're inhaling for a count of 4 in a shape, let's say triangle, then you're literally creating a barrier, a block to all of that, thoughts that are going on. So and that's partly why it works so effectively at night, because what happens with the mind monster growing in your head, you've got to find a way to create a block, right, a wedge. And so go to breath work, and it's remarkable how quickly it kicks in.
Yeah. What else are you seeing as well through your practice, through what other people are seeing as the outcome tangibly in their day-to-day life? What sort of results are you seeing from people who've kind of been doing this and practicing for a little while?
I mean, breath work, for example, is all about human performance. So, when you start looking into it from a real physical athlete performance level, you'll have athletes taping their mouth shut, for example. Because nasal breathing is, incredible for creating, fantastic cardiovascular strengthening your lungs, and so physically you start to improve, mentally you start to improve, emotionally you start to improve, and so your whole spirit is therefore, on an upward cycle. It's fantastic. It depends on whatever you're faced with, whatever the issues are. You channel that energy, you channel the focus and the positive mental, the whole mindset thing. Because I'm glad you brought that up as well, because you are what you think. If you are thinking, oh, I've got no money, oh, I'm this, oh, I'm that, nobody's going to love me, I'm hopeless, then that is all you'll be. I'm sorry to say.
Yeah.
You have to change that narrative. That mindset mastery is so important. So with breath work, you can inhale some positive affirmation around, I am worthy, and you release anything that you want to get rid of, any negative emotions, any mental challenges that are going on, any physical tension that's going on. That's really what it's for.
How do you say to people, people who come to you, ask you these questions, want help with breath work, how do you get them to apply this? How do you get them to make sure they actually don't just say, oh, that sounds great, that's nice. How do you make sure that when they walk away, they are then actually putting this into practice?
Yeah, that is always the most difficult bit of it, to be really honest with you, because I have no control of what the people do when they walk out. I think the first thing is, especially when I work with the groups in addictions, is that often people come into it thinking this is a whole load of BS. This just doesn't, this is never, this can't be, this is just woo-woo or whatever. And, after a 90-minute session with them, 99% of the people in that room are like mind blown by the physical shift they feel in their body. It's absolutely extraordinary. And so that's like the first hurdle, people believing that it's that powerful. And the only way to really to get over that sort of mental block yourself is to actually go and get a session somewhere and really feel it. Because if you are stressed, if you're anxious, if you're angry, if you are whatever is going on, then if you do it, then you will feel the benefit almost immediately. It is that powerful.
Proof is literally in the pudding.
How I get them to actually do it is that I, depending on how I'm working with them, I will give them 3 breathing exercises to do, and I'll give them a recording, and they'll do it the first thing as they get up, and they follow that. They'll do it at lunchtime, and they'll do it before bed. And the next week, we'll go into the next phase of it, and so on. So the idea is that you build in that daily breathwork practice. And you know what? At the end of the day, you're either motivated to do it or not. You can't make people. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make the horse drink it, right? And so from a coach and a therapist perspective, I suppose that's the most frustrating aspect, when you're here to help and heal, and you have you can give them the tools to make it happen themselves, but a lot of people will just let things slip. And what I found, and this is my own personal experience, is I've tripped up myself here. When I recovered from the burnout, I was doing my daily yoga practice. I got to a point where I thought, do you know, I'm all right. I'm healed. I'm in a good place, right? So I kind of stopped a bit. And actually, it was amazing how quickly I started to wobble again, and some of the old problems started to come back. And
it's like when you stop going to the gym, right?
Yeah, it's exactly like that.
Fitness doesn't last. You have to keep up, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's totally like that. And I often will explain it like that. And it's you just need to keep going. Unfortunately, you don't get anything out of this world without a little bit of hard work. But it's not even hard work. It's bloody lovely.
Yeah, it's actually chill out session.
It's I think just most people find that motivation and discipline quite challenging.
Yeah.
But that's why the moment you get up, you do it. The moment you go to bed, you do it. You can do it lying down in bed. And, if you're at work, you can just go to the toilet and sit there and do it for 10 minutes or something.
Yeah.
But as I
That's
say,
it, isn't it? It's habit stacking. If you just
Yeah.
do it on top of something you're already
that's
going to do,
nice.
you're sitting on the crapper.
Yeah.
You may as well just sit there breathing. Is what you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, what you might be breathing in might not be too pleasant. But anyway, sorry, it's
That's a good point.
But the other point is that when I'm working with people with high blood pressure, with high anxiety, let's say it might be work situations, people find they get that peaks of anxiety, presentations and that sort of thing. You can be doing breath work in front of people and they won't even know it, but you will be able to down regulate that elevation of all of those physical issues that are going to potentially hijack that presentation, because you're going to come across as being really nervous, or start shaking, sweating, and all of those things that are linked to those high pressure kind of situations. But we can get that sweating and anxiousness. It's just having a row with our partner.
Yeah.
It's not just high performing professional people in big jobs. We have these things every single day, all of us potentially. Whatever our triggers are. And these are tools that can just really help.
Yeah. To all the guys out there wanting to ask out their crush, just do a bit of breath work before you go say hello, and it will sort out all your problems. You'll be fine.
Exactly. And when you're in that moment of not quite sure what to say, when you're on that first date, again, just breathe through it.
Yeah.
Just allow that pause.
Or even ask them about breath work. Have you ever tried breath work?
Yeah.
Let's do one together, shall we?
Exactly. Yeah, that'd be amazing.
Yeah, I actually have this trick I say to people as well. Like, sometimes if you don't know what to say, talk about the fact you don't know what to talk about.
Yes.
It just, honestly, it just helps. That's what I used to do when I used to get nervous. I would just say, I have moments where I don't know what to talk about. I don't know what about you? What do you talk about when you don't know what to talk about? And it would just start a conversation though. So it would just get the ball rolling until I was relaxed enough then to chat shit about something else.
But you know what that does remind me? In my younger days, I went on a date. I saw this girl in a pub. Right, this was before I was married, obviously, and kind of liked her, and we got chatting, sort of, and I then actually asked her out on a date, and I went out on this date with her, and I'm not kidding you, and I'm not exaggerating. She said nothing.
Yeah.
And after about 15 or 20 minutes, I ran out of things to say. I kept asking, nothing. And it was like, I don't know what was going on. It was like a rabbit stuck in headlights, but not because I was some fearsome person, but I don't know. It was like the most odd situation ever. And then it just had to go.
Yeah, I've had dates like that in the past as well. They weren't pleasant. It's just obviously when a conversation is one way, it's difficult, isn't it?
Yeah. And also, pretty good sign that you're not really sparking, and then it's the relationship that you develop, that you actually spend, until it's 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning, chatting on the phone, WhatsApp or whatever, that you realise there's something.
Yeah.
It's a pretty good sign that relationship is looking good.
Yeah. So what's your message to everyone out there? If there's anything you can leave, any legacy message you want to send out there right now, what would it be? If this was the last thing you were going to say, which I hope not, of course, but if it was, what would you say to everyone out there listening to this right now?
I'd say the most transformational thing that anybody can do is learn how to do to breathe properly, do breath work, solid breath work, somatic practices, like yoga.
For anyone who doesn't know, by the way, explain somatic.
Somatic practice is like yoga, so basically movement with breath. There's others, meditation. Those are the kind of like the three, maybe the core ones, are absolutely scientifically proven to work. Now, they're thousands of years old. This is how, the Buddhists and the Indians, thousands of years, created good health and well-being, how people survived in extreme cold and heat, and they knew how to tap into the bodies. But we've just lost all of that in the last 200 years since pharmaceuticals came into being, and so if you have anxiety, if you have high stress, if you have any issues going on, then the foundation for getting better is just a little bit of any of these types of practices. Do a little bit every day, and you'll find there's a big change and shift in your life. So that's my thing.
Yeah, I saw something today as well. I think it was either today or yesterday. Just a headline popped up in my feed somewhere that they were saying that even microdosing on mindfulness or other practices can still, even that can have a huge impact as well. Even if you start with the smallest of amount, even if it is just once a day, or it will still, or it will compound, it will improve, it will help. But doing absolutely nothing is the guaranteed way that nothing's going to change. But even just a little bit will help. I don't manage it every single day. There are days I don't pray and whatever, and of course, we just all have our ups and downs, our ebbs and flows. But I tend to ride with the punches now. Not worry about it. Not stress. Again, I'm not stressing about the fact that oh no, I missed a day. I missed it. Like again, that's just gonna make it worse. So I kind of just okay, I missed a day. It doesn't matter. I'll pick it up tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's all right. I missed a day from the gym after being there for 6-7 days in a row. It's fine. I could forgive myself for that one day that I'm not there. So no, I really appreciate you coming in and having this chat with me. I've been looking forward to getting you in for a little while since we have first had the little exchange of messages on Facebook, and obviously I had Kajal on a long time ago, and I saw the work you guys have been doing, which has been incredible. So it's lovely to have you on. So if people want to reach out to you or they want to join in with your Monday session, how do they get in touch?
Sure. So just jump onto my website, which is www.my-recovery.co.uk, and sign up to Breath Bites on the website, and get to me through there. That's the easiest way, I think.
Fantastic. I'll make sure I include the link as well.
Yeah. .co.uk.
Brilliant. Ladies and gentlemen, a big thank you to my incredible guest, Mindfully Pauli.
Yes.
And thank you for watching the Feeling Inspired podcast. I've forgotten, I've lost count of what episode this is now. I have no idea, but I will see you all on the next episode. Thank you again, Paul. Really appreciate you coming in.
Really happy to be on the show. Thank you.
Thank you.